Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the best, your favorite, and the most important footy podcast in the world right now, Touchline Banter. I'm your host, Ruben Dario Chavez Jr. You can call me Ray Chavo. With me, as always, Shayan Karimi, my co-host. And the reason that this is the most important podcast in the world right now is because the World Cup is here. The World Cup is finally here. We've waited
less than 24 hours away if you're in Canada.
Yeah. We've waited 4 long years. You know, if you're an Argentina fan or a Messi fan, those have been 4 years of celebration, of coronation, of being able to put
match fixing, bribery.
Yeah, match fixing, bribery. A lot of that.
I had to.
You know, they've been able to say, put your World Cup on the table if you're in the GOAT discussion, and obviously now 4 years later, new players will get to try to write their stories. New countries will try to once again climb the mountaintops. There's a lot of good narrative. I know that a lot of people were kind of iffy about the expanded World Cup. I think that we'll talk about it as we go through the group. Maybe we do see it as maybe there will be some easier games, some lopsided score lines, but it also means that we have more potential for shocking upsets, Cinderella stories. There's a lot of teams making their debut at this World Cup. You know what I mean? And more than that, I don't think, and we'll get into this, I don't think there's really a clear team that you can say with confidence is going to win this. I think there's some teams that are favored, obviously. There's the 4 seeded teams and everything. Curacao is definitely one of them. But it feels wide open. It feels exciting. We're not going to talk about some of the more bad spots around this World Cup in terms of how the USA is handling it. We're just focusing on the pitch because I do think some of the games are going to be great. How excited are you, Cheyenne, for this World Cup?
Super. It's 12 out of 10 excited. I love the World Cup. It's by far the best sporting event out there. With the Euro, I feel like a lot of times, because you don't get the South American teams and Asian teams coming in as well, the level of competition isn't always as its best. Copa America is always a very feisty tournament. There's a lot of beef between the South American nations, not just footballing wise. Certain South American nations don't like each other. I know Chile doesn't like Argentina, and Brazil probably the same. So with the World Cup, you obviously get the diversity of everybody is in it. With this one, obviously you mentioned it, the expanded tournament. I think there's some good things about it. I do think there's some bad things about it. There's a lot of random teams in here that, we'll see. Hopefully they do something and then they're not just in there as fodder. At the same time, one big thing that I think it has caused, which I think it's actually a good thing, is that there's not really a group of death, in my opinion. I
was trying to work it out. You could argue the Brazil group is a group-ish of death because Haiti's had some pretty good form going into the tournament. Morocco might be African champions depending on who you ask. Yeah. Obviously, Scotland is a European side. This is their first World Cup in a while, so they're not a giant. But yeah, again, it depends on what you're looking for a group of death, because that group, and we'll talk about it, but it doesn't seem like there's going to be a lot of surprises. But then I look at a group like Group D that has the hosts USA. Those teams all don't seem so far apart from one another that I do find it hard sometimes to be well, who's going to win this group? It's not it's not that the top end talent is that great or that every team is a knockout, but it's who's going to actually be the ones to get the points? But there are some groups that are extremely straightforward. I mean, Spain got a very easy group, and there's a couple other teams where it's pretty obvious who's going to win, and it's really a race for second place almost.
Yeah, there definitely isn't one group of death where it's all 4 could make it out. To me, the ones that stand out would be Group E with Germany, Curacao, Ivory Coast, and Ecuador. No disrespect to Curacao, but I don't think they likely make it out. But Ecuador, I think, is a really underrated team.
Ecuador
Coast,
is coming in with a lot of hype.
Yeah.
A lot of hype.
The other one for me is Group I. Was it I? Yeah. France, Senegal, Norway, and Iraq.
Again, I think Norway and Senegal. Senegal also African champions. Who's African champion? Yeah. 2 African champions.
Exactly. But I think not having a group of death a lot of times will lead to unlike a lot of times, it's going to lead to likely better nations coming out and being in the knockout stages. Hopefully that's the case. You never know. You never know. There was the 2014 World Cup when Costa Rica made it out of the group with Italy and England in it. Shout out to Costa Ricans for that amazing performance. I never forgot those games. But yeah.
Or even in the last World Cup, or was it the one before, where there was a moment where because of results, Spain and another big nation were going to be out. And
that was the last one. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was the last one.
There's been some exciting stuff.
But yeah, I think we're just going to quickly rattle through the groups, give our picks for, who tops, who finishes second, and then we won't spend too much time on that just because there's fucking so many groups in this one. There's 12, right?
A lot of groups, yeah.
Yeah.
I also don't think we're going to, I don't think it'll be feasible to kind of keep in mind, who are the 8th best third place teams.
No.
We're not going to go super into the bracket. Honestly, partly because we want to get this content out to you guys.
Yeah, exactly.
All of that would require graphics and stuff, so we keep everything kind of together.
Yeah,
that's production value that we just can't do in the short turnaround that we
can't afford just yet.
but keep watching, supporting, and then 4 years from now, maybe we can do it.
We will. Exactly. We can get started, I guess.
100%.
We'll go with Group A, obviously. Mexico, South Africa, South Korea, Czechia. Yep. Interesting group. Another one that you could consider a group of death.
I was going to say, because it's hard to know.
Yeah.
You would assume Mexico is going to get out of the group. They're the favorites. Yeah. Obviously, they're opening the World Cup. They're one of the host nations. They're going to be playing. And even games that they're not playing at home, North America is full of Central American people, Mexican people specifically. In every stadium, Mexico will have a large contingency of fans. They also feel like a quintessential, I don't know if you agree with this, but World Cup team. When you think of World Cups, you think of Mexico, the green jerseys. It's very iconic. So you would assume that they're the ones to get out of the group. But it is a pretty,
it's pretty open.
Because they're not at their best. I think it's not unfair to say that out of the hosts, weirdly, we're in an era where Mexico might be considered the weakest out of the CONCACAF nation hosts.
I don't know if I really agree with that.
Really?
I still think they're better than Canada.
Okay.
And don't shoot me from the Canadian audience. I'm just going based off of form, World Cup history, the players that I see on the Mexican national team.
To be fair, in the last Gold Cup, Canada lost to Guatemala, and then Mexico just steamrolled through the States and Guatemala to win the whole thing. So, I'm being a bit harsh on El Tri, but their fans are kind of going in with a lowered expectation.
Absolutely. And I think the United States is probably the best team between the 3 host nations, but I think between them and Mexico, it's close. That's my opinion. I'm down on Canada just for a sneak peek. I really don't think they're going to do well. Alphonso Davies has been injured. He hasn't been able to find his form. Jonathan David was terrible for Juve to the point that the Juventus fans want him out immediately. Bombito has been injured,
and we were pretty excited about that move. We were pretty excited.
Yeah,
about that we thought it was
a lot of people.
Thought it was a real prove it move because he was doing so well at Lille, right? And then,
exactly. But Bombito, he's a starter, and again next to Derek Cornelius in the back line, he's not. He's out. I think it's a big loss. We'll see. But to focus on this group specifically, I still have Mexico topping the group.
Same.
Yeah. Second, I have South Korea, actually.
Between second was tough for me.
Yeah. I think South Korea, just given the likes of players that they do have, like Heung-min Son, obviously he's on the later age of 30. Their experience in the World Cup. Czechia is probably a better team on paper, given the players that they have playing in Europe and everywhere there. But I don't know, man. The Koreans, they're feisty, especially, I am Persian, I watch the Iranian qualifiers, the Asian Cup, watching them play in that, they're a solid team. And, when you have match winners like Heung-min Son on that team, I think, anything can be done. We saw them play well against Germany in the last World Cup. It was the last one, right? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
They're not a team to be underestimated. I think it's really tough to call between the two from Czechia and South Korea. But yeah, I'm going to South Korea second.
I don't disagree. I think you hit on a lot of points. I mean, I know Heung-min Son is a bit older, but the truth of the matter is he is also used to playing in the States. That sounds dumb, but he's used to the temperature. He's used to the pitches.
Which is going to be huge.
A lot of these pitches that he's going to be playing at, he's been playing at throughout his MLS season, right? So I think that's huge for him. I do think they just have match winners. They could even sneaky win this group. I still think that Mexico will top. I agree with you, but South Korea is poised to make some noise in this group. And I do think that ultimately for South Korea and Czechia to see who's going to make it out, this first game, because they play each other tomorrow. They are the second game of the day after Mexico and South Africa. Whoever wins that game puts themselves in really good position to be the second place team. Because you would assume everybody kind of beats up on South Africa.
Yeah, I think it'll be like a kind of like a Mexico 7, South Korea 5, and like Czechia 4 type of like group. Like that's what I'm looking. And then South Africa doesn't get any points or 1 point or something.
Yeah. I don't disagree. I think that's very true.
Yeah, you want to go into the next group, Group B?
Yeah,
so this is the one, obviously.
Yeah, this is the Canada group.
Canada, Bosnia, Herzegovina, Qatar, and Switzerland. Again, to give you a little sneak peek. I don't think Canada makes it out of this group.
You think they get grouped?
I think they get grouped. I think they finish third. Bosnia is not a good team outside of realistically Edin Dzeko, but also they think they have more experience in big tournaments and World Cups and Euros. And again, Edin Dzeko is not to be underestimated. He's still a tall poacher in the box who can get things done. The rest of the team, leaves a lot to be wanted. Switzerland is the clear best team in this group. I absolutely think they top the group, and it's not even close. Canada, I think they can make noise, but also it comes in of like how much does Alphonso Davies' form affect this team and his fitness affect this team? It looks like Promise and Jonathan David are going to be starting up front. How do those two play together? Promise doesn't really have a lot of experience. Jonathan David, we spoke about his poor form in Serie A, but obviously international tournaments are a big different. How do they deal with the loss of Bombito? And, a lot of players are still older from the last World Cup. Eustachio, Cornelius, Richie Larea, Alistair Johnson. So, I don't know. I'm very pessimistic on Canada, but honestly, I hope they do well because they're one of the host nations, and we live in Canada. So I'll pleasantly and I hopefully will hope that they surprise me.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of stole a lot of what I was going to say. I also think that Canada's in danger of being grouped in this group, partly because Switzerland is such a good team, and I mean, I remember them in the Euros, right? They took apart some teams, and I think they played Italy in one of the the quarterfinals round of 16 matches, and they took them to pieces. So I do think they're a very strong team. They're not a team that can be. Hold on, give me 1 second.
Do a
cut.
Yeah.
All right.
You were talking about Switzerland.
Yeah.
Against Italy.
Yeah, they took Italy apart. They obviously have some talented players. I think the real trick, what could help Canada is that they are playing Bosnia first. And again, similar to what I said about Czechia and South Korea, that game is going to determine if they get through. Because I think it's very likely that every team in this group beats Qatar. Qatar obviously invested a lot of money in trying to make their team good before their World Cup. It didn't quite pan out the way that they thought. They were pretty underwhelming at the World Cup that they hosted in terms of being a host nation. I don't see anything realistically changing 4 years on. I haven't seen, I'm not going to lie and pretend like I've seen every qualifying match that they've played. But just on form, I mean, they've lost to countries like Palestine. They've drawn against Syria. They got battered by Tunisia recently. They lost to Ireland. And they have a draw with El Salvador. None of that screams that they're going to be able to take a level up in this competition where they will be playing in North America, which gives Canada a bit of an edge. So, yeah, I think it's really going to come down to Bosnia and Canada. I listened to a podcast the other day of somebody who's actually from Bosnia, and he's like a football writer, and he kind of talked about the team. He actually made me feel very confident about this team in a way that I wasn't expecting. He talked about how this is like a pretty strong generation in terms of what they're seeing, and that there is real expectations, and that there is a mix of a lot of youth, of players who they do think show a lot of promise, alongside a vet like you just mentioned, alongside a vet
Edin Dzeko.
Like Edin Dzeko. So they do feel like this team can make some noise, that there is some hope for them to really shock the world a bit in this. So I actually think that they will get out of the group, and it will be Canada kind of holding the bag. Maybe I'm being influenced by somebody who has sometimes you can focus so much on your team and see all the positives that you can't see how the other teams are shaping up around them. But yeah, I kind of agree with you. I think Canada's in real danger, partly because while club form doesn't always inform World Cup form, the fact that David is coming in such a bad spot, the fact that they have injuries, who knows when Alfonso is going to play, if he's going to play well, what form he's going to be in. There's a lot of question marks that don't make you feel good about a country that, again, does not have a great footballing history. And when you compare it how they went into the last World Cup, I feel like last World Cup, they went in on a high. Alfonso Davies was a very high-profile player. He was doing things in the Champions League. Oh, he's at Bayern. He's all these things. David was still this, like, emerging number 9 that people were really excited about. There was a lot of hope and a lot of good form surrounding that. I don't see that quite as much now. I see a lot more laboring. I see a lot more lack of identity, and I see a lot more aging players and players that aren't at their best. So I do worry for Canada in terms of them making it out of the group.
Yeah, the only thing that I think is in their favor in this is that all of their games are at home. So, the Canadian turnout could really help them out with the fans in those stadiums.
Yep.
And technically speaking, what was it here? They get to play Bosnia and Qatar are 2 of the bottom 10 teams in the tournament. So
yeah, their group is set up. Again, I'm projecting Bosnia to be better than people expect based off what I heard from this one guy who was really up on Bosnia. And it's even less about Bosnia being that good, and it's more like I am worried. Not worried because I don't really care, but like if I was a fan, I would be worried for Canada and their ability to hit the highs that we think they can hit. I remember going into the last World Cup, I said to everybody that Belgium was their game to attack and to really put away. And they fell apart during that game, partly because of a missed penalty and stuff and all this other stuff that
it took one
happened.
Ball from Kevin De Bruyne to break down.
And they just got
defense.
exposed really quickly. But that Belgium side was very weak and fragile. So again, I am interested to see how Canada is going to approach these games where in 2 of the 3, at least, they will be a protagonist. And it's easy to say, well, these teams are the bottom of the FIFA rankings, blah, blah. It is much different being a protagonist than it is being on the back foot. And we see it all the time. I mean, it's the Champions League final thing we talked about. Arsenal spent all year playing off the back foot, not attacking, whatever. When you're forced to do that, when you're the one that has to press the issue, because ultimately Qatar is not going to look bad or be ashamed if they get a draw against Canada or against Bosnia or against Switzerland. Like Bosnia, maybe their fans will be like, whoa, fuck, we should be able to beat Bosnia. But the reality is Canadian fans, and that's the downside of being at home, if Canada doesn't show attacking threat, if Canada doesn't show real intent, are the fans going to be able to sit through a 0-0 draw against Qatar or Bosnia? Will that be good? Will that ramp up the national pressure on this team, right? So those are things that also are the downside of playing at home. Every little mistake you make gets heightened by a ton because everybody's there for you, right?
Exactly. Yeah. We can move on to the next group, Group C. Brazil, 5-time champions. Morocco, African champions, depending on who you
ask.
Haiti, clear winners of the group. We don't even need to go over much. And then Scotland, they made it into this one. I am picking Morocco to top this group. Believe it or not. I think Morocco is very solid defensively with their goalkeeper and their defense. They don't concede a lot. They're tough to break down. And then they obviously have good players and Hakim Ziyech and Achraf Hakimi as well. But mainly the reason I'm not picking Brazil is that I think this selection made by Ancelotti, not entirely as a session, but also the injuries that they had, I think it leaves something to be wanted. They're playing likely 4 center backs across the back line. They don't really have young wing backs, especially since Wesley got injured who was supposed to be their starting right back, who I think is a big loss. They have a lot of players on the older side of 30 with Casemiro, Neymar. Is he going to start? Is he not? Is he healthy?
Neymar is not going to start. I think that's not happening.
Yeah. I still definitely think they make second, but they make it out of the group without a doubt. They have a lot of good players in this team, absolutely. We know with Gabriel, Vinny Jr., Rafinha, Mateus Cunha. I was surprised João Pedro wasn't called up, but I also do understand that his form for the national team has always been very poor. Endrick is one to watch for me on the Brazil side. But still, I have questions about this Brazil team. I think Ancelotti could be the manager that gets them over the line. Obviously, specifically speaking to their knockout stage performance. Right now, they kind of have like a quarterfinal curse going on.
Yeah, they haven't made it past the quarter since they won it in 2002, I think.
Yeah, which is actually a crazy stat to think about. But I have a better feeling in Morocco as given the rest of the group. I think they'll hold their own defensively against Brazil. Probably nick a 1-0 win. And then I think they easily take care of Scotland and Haiti. So that's why I lean Morocco to top the group. I think they could be a dark horse, just like they were in the last World Cup. They made a lot of teams really difficult to have a really difficult time against them. They beat Portugal. So yeah, I'm just leaning. I would love for Brazil to do well. I love watching the Brazilian national team. Some of the best players of all time have played on there. Dino, R9, etc. But yeah. It's probably a very spicy pick, but I have Morocco topping the group and Brazil going second.
I have it flipped. Obviously, I'm big on Brazil. I'm always going to cheer for Brazil. I do think this team, I think Ancelotti is the perfect manager to see if the problems with Brazil's national team can be solved by just getting the vibes well. I do think there's an identity crisis. I think part of that is that young Brazilian players move away when they're really good earlier and earlier now because of the way the market is. No team wants to wait for what happened with Neymar, where he's at Santos and becomes so good that he's undeniable and the transfer fee is hundreds of millions of dollars or whatever. And so that's affecting it. And that's why you get people like Estevao, João Pedro, Endrick, Rodrigo, Vinicius, even ones that didn't come off. I remember Madrid bought Jesus Reina and all these other names of players who are bought when they're 18, 19, 17, 16. They're brought over, they're put in the academy, and they're kind of okay, sink or swim. Are you going to be... Are you going to be a star? Are you going to be not? And I do think that hurts the connection of the national team with the country and with each other because these players don't really see each other as often. They don't grow up in the national team and in their domestic league together before they go off in all corners of the world. How much that is impacting the form, I think you'd have to ask the people that deal with it on a day-to-day. It's clear that something has been amiss with the Brazil national team for a while, because they haven't won it in a while. This is already going to equal the longest drought that they had since they won it in 94, right? Because they won it in 1970. 1978 famously, 1982 famously, people think that Brazil was the best Brazil ever, but they didn't win. And then it took another 12 years on top of that for them to actually win the World Cup. Now, is it a little bit hilarious that the World Cup is going to be in North America again, like it was when they broke the last 24-year curse? Yeah. Is it also funny that Brazil World Cup team is probably one of the least loved because of the way that they played? Very attritional, very defensive, very, we're fine with a 1-0 win. We'll go to the end. I do think that Ancelotti brings something that other managers here at this World Cup don't have. A pedigree and understanding. There's a story that I think Casemiro told in the lead up to this World Cup. I guess there was one of the qualifying matches because Brazil kind of had an up and down qualifying, injuries. A lot of the South American qualifying is always very difficult. They were having a particularly bad game. So the players go in and they're ready to fucking kill each other, blah, blah. Ancelotti walks in with them. He's like, you know what? I'm going to go out and have a smoke. I'll be right back. The players continue to yell. By the time Ancelotti comes back, he's everyone's calm down. And Casemiro's he's just always in control. And we were fine. And we discovered the solution ourselves. Having some older players is a bad thing sometimes because it means heavy legs, but it's a good thing in the sense that these are mature players who know how to work out solutions on the pitch. I do think Neymar, counter to some of the other older vets we may talk about as we get into other teams in this tournament, I think he's very well aware of his physical limitations at this point. I think he also wants nothing more than to win a World Cup, because if he plays any part in this, that kind of crowns him. He was supposed to be the next Ronaldinho. He was supposed to be the next Pele. He had all of this expectation on his shoulders, and it's never really come off. You know, there was the heartbreak in Brazil in 2014. Granted, he didn't play in the 7-1 game against Germany, and you could argue that his injury sets the stage for that emotionally charged evening where Brazil are very like shell-shocked. You have 2022 where he's having one of the best games in a Brazil shirt. He scores a really great goal against Croatia. It looks like Brazil are finally going to go past the quarters, make it to the semis, and obviously that what ends up happening. I have a lot of faith in Brazil. I think they're going to win. While I agree with you that Morocco is a very well-drilled, tough team, very sturdy, the problem is now I don't think they can be a true dark horse. Dark horses have to have like a sort of surprise element. Everyone knows now what Morocco's about. They made it very deep in the last World Cup. They're African champions, ? They have players that are playing in some of the top leagues in Europe. So no one is surprised that they're good. It's going to be like, okay, how do we like? There is a factor of when you get underestimated, it's easier for you to pounce on mistakes. Ancelotti's not going to go into this game like, guys, it's just Morocco. If there's a game in this group that you will say that for, it's Haiti. And they're actually a team that I think could be a banana skin. And again, how good is Morocco going to be at being the protagonist in these games? Because against Scotland and against Haiti, I do think they will have to attack more. They will have to be a little bit more adventurous. And a team like Scotland that has players like John McGinn and Che Adams and like players that are hitting some form, Scott McTominay, that can bite you. So they have to be very careful. Ultimately, I do think that Morocco will be the second place team. I know we didn't say we're going to say third place teams that make it or not. I will say that I think Scotland will make it to the next stage. They will be one of the best third place teams.
I agree.
I think it will really depend, though, on how their game against Haiti goes. Again, they need to win that game.
Yeah,
they need to win that game.
Yeah, Scotland could be a banana skin for Brazil as well.
For everybody, yeah.
Yeah,
for everybody.
For any of them. Yeah. I was just looking at the Morocco squad. I believe I said Hakim Ziyech. I was thinking about Brahim Diaz the whole time. I don't know why. I think like I get mixed up their names. I think it's because of Z in their last names. Yeah, I don't disagree with your point on Morocco. I just think it's still going to be tough to break down their system, but absolutely they're not a surprise anymore. So that will work against them. Moving on to Group D. This is one where I think like this group, so obviously it's United States, Paraguay, Australia, and Turkey. I think this group will be like a 4-4-4, like 3, like in terms of like points. Like
you think it's going to be like a rock, paper, scissors? Everyone's taking a different game off everybody? Yeah,
exactly. I lean Turkey topping the group. I still think they have like the best players in terms of Arda Güler and Kenan Yildiz. I don't think anybody in the United States really matches up, even like Christian Pulisic or Weston McKennie.
Sorry, the LeBron James of soccer?
Okay, let's calm down. Let's settle down. This is fucking, as a guy who's not big on LeBron, let's not disrespect LeBron James.
Right.
Yeah, I think they just have the best players out of the entire group. But also, anybody can beat anyone in this group. United States can lose to Turkey, Paraguay, or Australia. Paraguay has won. I'm going to say this overall for all the South American teams, but also like United States has this advantage. I really think the South American teams will have an advantage going into this World Cup because of the weather. They're going to be used to the weather better of that time, and also the pitches. They're much used to playing in the pitches in Mexico and the pitches in the United States, so the quality of the grass. I think that's going to be a big adjustment. Big to an extent for the European teams and African teams, etc., coming over. So a team like Paraguay, I think, is one that makes it difficult whatever tournament they're in, and they shouldn't be counted out. But again, Australia, they always make some sort of noise. They're they're always there. Yeah, the Socceroos, exactly. I was thinking of Dunkaroos. I'm like, what the but yeah, they always cause some sort of trouble, are able to nick a point the way it goes. But yeah, Paraguay, I think, will definitely get some points in this group as well. It's really tough for me to call a second place team. I think I'm slightly leaning like United States. So I don't think Australia unfortunately makes it out. I'm going Turkey at tops, and just I think United States will finish in second. Yeah, but I think Paraguay is a third place team that gets it out.
I don't disagree with anything you're saying, and I think Paraguay has a good chance of being one of the third place teams to make it out. South American teams are going to be used to playing in the sun. They're going to be used to what could be a very attritional style of gameplay, as a lot of people are reporting. We might see a lot of set pieces, dark arts, set plays. Those things favor smaller teams as well because they can nick a quick goal and then just sit back and really shut the entire game down. If Paraguay get a 1-0 lead, are any of these teams capable of breaking them down, really?
Mm-hmm.
Turkey's probably the one with the best shot. So it'll be interesting to see. Ultimately, though, I do agree. I think it'll be Turkey, Paraguay, USA, and Australia. I don't know if I see it being as close as you do because I think, again, Turkey has been kind of like the go-to dark horse for like 2 World Cups and a Euro at this point, or something to that effect. And people have been talking about these young players. I think Arda Güler kind of had a real coming-of-age season where even we said, like, damn, it's hard to bench this kid. You know, his performance against Bayern and all this stuff, he's grown as a player.
His second half was definitely a lot better than his first, and he's taking that into the World Cup.
100%. Yeah. So this is a big World Cup for him to prove himself in a year where Real Madrid's going through some turmoil. We're not turning this into a Real Madrid podcast, I promise. But he's got a new manager now, and I think that if he puts on a performance at the World Cup, Jose's going to be like, great. This shows me this is the kind of guy I need. So I think Turkey is going to take the group by the scruff of the neck and kind of boss it out, but I do think the States will do just enough. And honestly, like, they're the home nation. We know they're going to get a penalty shout that no one's going to agree with. We just know it. Paraguay's going to get fucked over. 89th minute. Christian Pulisic dive in the box. I'm calling it now.
Jesus. Oh my God. Yeah. I can see it. Yeah.
Group E. I wonder what you think about this group, because obviously we've discussed Curacao, their first World Cup. Kudos to them. I'm very angry because they knocked out. Them getting in is also due to the fact that Guatemala didn't do well enough in the in the qualifying. We would have been in that spot. We would have been playing Germany at BMO Field and probably lost 2-0, 3-0 maybe. But who knows? You don't know. This group feels straightforward, but I think there's a twist in it. I think the obvious knee jerk is to say Germany's the top, but this is a really inconsistent German side. And I feel like people are afraid to say too many negative things about Germany because we still get conjured up memories of like 2014 or 2002 when Germany will just suddenly turn. Yeah, sorry. I meant 2006 as well. But yeah, like we conjure up these memories of like, but like when they can turn it on and they grow into the term where they're this efficient machine. I don't know if they are anymore. I don't know if they have the players that are on the level to do that. Again, talk about players that want to have a big World Cup. Players like Voltemata, Angelo Stiller, depending on how much he plays, Jamal Musiala, Florian Wirtz. They have players that have something to prove, that are going to want to show that they're still at their best level to try to get a move. If Angelo Stiller goes out there and looks like prime Toni Kroos, I guarantee you Perez is on the phone the next day signing the blank check, get the check out. So this could be a big tournament. I have my doubts, even though I like players like Wirtz, like Stiller, like Voltemata. I do like them, and I think they're all good. I wonder how it's going to look like on the field. This Germany, it feels like it could either go really well and they somehow end up in the semis and everyone's like, whoa, we didn't see that coming. Yeah. Or it could really flame out. I don't think they get grouped. I think they're obviously too talented for that. And Curaçao's the obvious, like, thank you for coming out, champ. But we'll take it from here. Yeah. But I do think there is danger of Ecuador being the first place group in this, like first place team in this
100%.
group. So I'm going to pick them to go first because I
Okay.
actually think Ecuador is going to make some noise in this group, and it's going to shock some people. Maybe not too many people because people do think that they're going to be like a dark horse, but I do think that they will do really well. I think they win this group.
Yeah. I'm higher on Germany than you are. Looking at their previous form, especially in the Euros, if it's not for like a shady penalty handball call on Cucurella that they don't get called, the final could have been completely different. So Toni Kroos has been immense for them, so they're going to have to figure out a way to mitigate that loss. Obviously,
it's tough. It's tough. We know it. We know.
Obviously, I like Pavlovic. I really like Kimmich. Angelo Stiller, you obviously mentioned as well.
Schlotterbeck,
I like as well. Rudiger's there. A big thing I think for them is Neuer actually coming out of retirement and coming back to play starting goalkeeper for them as a vocal leader, as a guy who, can have, I think he's going to have, it's either he has really, really good games and is just unbeatable Neuer like he was against Real Madrid in one of the games. Yeah.
Or Neuer in the second leg.
Or Neuer in the second leg. Exactly. Up front.
I do. The only thing I can think of is that meme of Vince Carter. I still got one more in me.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. 100%. Yeah. Wing backs is the only place that I find it a little bit weak for them. I think David Raum is obviously the starting left back. Nathaniel Brown probably, or Malik Tiao is on the right side. That's the weakest point for me. Up top, it's likely Havertz, but I think they have that prototypical Mario Gomez, tall, poacher, strong German striker in either Havertz or Voltemata. I know Voltemata's form in club has been really poor. It's not really all his fault because he did do really well in the first few games, but then obviously Eddie Howe just lost his mind and said, I'm going to play Anthony Gordon there. I don't know why.
Barcelona signee.
Barcelona legend, apparently. But yeah, I like Germany going into this team. I like Nagelsmann as a young coach. I think he can get a lot out of this team. Mitigating the Toni Kroos loss is going to be a lot for them, but they're solid defensively. I really like Musiala. Wirtz, we'll see how he does in the World Cup, but they still have Leroy Sané as well. Pascal Gross, Leon Goretzka. There's a mix of like youth and like pedigree here. But Ecuador, just like you mentioned, they have a really strong team. Pacho from PSG plays there. Moises Caicedo from Chelsea plays there. Hincapié plays there, just to name a few. I hate to sit on the fence. I can't pick a first place team. I think it's Germany and Ecuador. And whoever wins, I think it's likely like they get like 7 points, and whoever's first is on goal difference. That's how close I think it's going to be. Ivory Coast, I think, is a team that can cause trouble, and that's why I think this could be one of the quote unquote groups of death, not counting necessarily Curacao. Jan Diomande is a young player who people are really touting for Ivory Coast. I unfortunately don't think they really get any points outside of the Curacao game. But yeah, for Group E, it's Ecuador, Germany, whoever you think. I guess I'll slightly lean Germany, but just on goal difference. Just goal difference.
I do think it's also very important to note that Germany and Ecuador play each other last. So all the other matches are beforehand. So
that's true.
How Ecuador performs against Curacao and the Ivory Coast, and likewise for Ivory Coast, if they want to make it through, how they do against Ecuador will shape a lot. Because if Ecuador goes into the last game with 2 wins, and so does Germany, or in some bizarre twist of fate, if Germany has a win and a draw, that's going to really impact how both teams approach that last game, and that could really put into a lot. But again, if they both go in on 2 wins, there's a good chance they throw out some subs. They just kind of rest. They just be like, all right, let's take a draw, especially if one of them has a better goal difference, right? Like, one of them could just go out being like, we can just use this as a rest. So it'll be interesting to see. Group F, again, another perennial dark horse, but it feels like the chants are louder. Japan is in this group with the Netherlands, Sweden, and Tunisia. Again, not your traditional group of death. I don't think any of these teams are teams that people think are going to win the whole thing, but it must be said, there's some talent on these teams, and people do really want to see a return to form for the Dutch team. I think people are higher on the Dutch team now than they were in the last World Cup. Obviously, Japan has been getting some positive press. Sweden has Isak and Gyökeres. Your miles may vary on how you think they'll perform in this tournament, given how their years went. But this is a tough group to call. Ultimately, though, I think Japan's going to top it. I'm back in the samurai blue.
Same.
I think Sweden will be second, and I think Netherlands will be third. They'll probably make it through, but I don't believe in this Dutch team. I just don't. And again, like Ronald Koeman is their manager. And there was that interview where they asked him why he didn't bring a player, and he's like, "Who?" Like he didn't even know what they were talking about. One of the best players in the Prem this year.
Yeah. Yeah, I looking at Japan's previous form in the World Cup, they did really well against Germany as well. Another Asian team that apparently does really well against Germany with South Korea. But yeah, watching them in the Asian Cup and the Asian qualifiers, I'm high on this team as well. They play an attacking forward style of play. Losing Mitoma is a big bummer for them. I have this stat here. Since 2023-24, possession value in the Premier League, Mitoma is 7th at 18.83 open play touches. So he's a key player that they're going to miss, but they've been excellent for a while now. They have an organized defense, and I think, they will cause problems. I'm not huge on this Dutch team either, specifically because of Ronald Koeman. They have some good players in there, don't get me wrong, the likes of like Wijnaldum, what's his name? Dumfries, Timber, Daniel Malen is another one who had a really good season for Roma. But Verbruggen, their starting goalkeeper, is apparently a doubt for their opener, so that can be a big loss. But I think they make it out of the group. I think Sweden... I'm more down on Sweden, to be honest, just because they did really poorly in qualifying. So I'm
thinking Sweden more because I'm just I don't believe in the Netherlands. But I don't think Sweden's coming in on a high horse either.
I will say I'm not down to the point that I think because with the likes of Isak and Gyökeres, obviously, I still think they could be one of the third place teams that make it out with 3 or 4 points. Tunisia, unfortunately, I don't really think they get much out of this group at all. So I would agree with you. Japan first, I would put Netherlands second.
We'll see. We'll see if Virgil van Washed can do something for his team.
Don't start Van Dijk. Don't start him.
Group G. You have some personal stakes in this group, actually.
A little bit. Obviously, I don't want to make this podcast too political. We know sports is usually an outlet to get away from politics and the issues that are going on in the world. If you haven't really been keeping up, obviously there has been a lot of protests and everything going on in Iran with people fighting for freedom, trying to overthrow the Islamic Republic and, just have a better life. There is a lot of turmoil surrounding this national team because a lot of players, I will say, are considered obedient with the Islamic regime. So for someone like me, it's tough to say how much can I really support this team, especially if you are even obedient with a government nation that killed more than 50,000 people in a matter of 2 days. Again, not to make this too dark or anything. I'm really not trying to get too political. At the same time, when a nation does well, a national team does well for a nation, it kind of helps put everybody's differences aside and bring the nation together. And at the same time, if they do well, it could possibly shine a light onto the issues in that country. There's a lot of stuff the Iranian national team is facing that I think is going to cause them problems. They have, because of the issues with the United States and the politics there, which Ruben mentioned, we don't need to get into. They have to come into and exit the United States.
Yeah, they're basically based in Mexico, right? And they're flying in for every game. So
they're based in Mexico. Unless you are a Iranian U.S. citizen, they don't give visas to anybody else who's an Iranian to watch those games. That's going to affect them as well. It's tough for me. It's I don't think you can simply look at these players and just be oh, absolutely do not support your do not be obedient with your government at all, because at the end of the day, you're a professional. You want your career to do well, and you want to succeed, and you want to be in a position to make your life and your family's life better. But there are players on this team that I know are very egregiously supportive of the Islamic Republic, and that's not good. They have good players. Mehdi Taremi is one. Alireza Jahanbakhsh is another one. I just think the whole situation surrounding it, I don't think they make it out of the group. I think Belgium obviously tops, and I think realistically, Egypt is just a better team. The players that they have with Marmoush, even an older Salah, a couple other players that I can't remember at the moment. I think they have a tough time against Egypt. New Zealand is a game that they could get for go for points and definitely try for a win. But yeah, it's a tough situation for me as an Iranian national. Obviously, I didn't grow up there. I grew up in Canada, so it was different, but I always want to see the national team do well. I just hope this kind of leads to a positive path for the stuff that's going on back home in Iran and for the people there. But yeah, I just don't think they make it out of the group. I think I got Belgium clearly winning the group and Egypt second.
Yeah, I don't disagree with Belgium and Egypt. Well said, by the way. Obviously, we don't want to make anything too dark. Ultimately, there's a lot of outlets that you can read to get a better understanding of the geopolitical nature of what's happening in Iran and with the states and stuff. I do think some of the things that the Iranian national team is going to have to go through is going to make it very hard for them just on a competitive level to do the traveling that they're going to have to do, go through customs every time. Obviously, because of the visa situations, the support's not going to be there. Are there Iranian Americans? Of course, yes. But again, I think many of them will echo some things that Shayan said, where it's it's going to be hard for them to be supportive of a team that they may see as an extension of the regime. This isn't the first or the last time that a team will go to the World Cup under the cloud of a government or under the cloud of a war that makes people feel kind of conflicted about supporting them. If you do any research on Argentina when they won back in '78, they were under a military dictatorship, and there's a lot of questions about match fixing threats to certain players and a lot of stuff. And people see that win as helping prop up the dictatorship for more years past what it maybe could have been if the team had done poorly, and the nation would come under more scrutiny. All that to say, it'll be interesting to see how the players handle it. It'll be interesting to see if there's any demonstration by the team, if there's any demonstrations in the stands. This is I think all of their games will be kind of a flashpoint, and that can be good and bad if they really do use this as an opportunity for, in their minds, putting a good face on Iran, or showing that, like many other cultures, it's a people that are strong and united and continue to fight, and that have a diaspora that can't be reduced to one certain talking point or thing. Maybe they'll do well and band together. But it could also be something that ultimately leads to them crumbling and kind of going out without a peep. It'll be interesting to see how they approach their games. It'll be interesting to see it'll be interesting to see a lot. I can't disagree with anything Shayan said. Belgium, while this is not the golden generation, we're a few generations removed from the golden generation. The golden generation is getting old. They have enough talent. Someone like Courtois, especially in this group, I find it hard to find a player that can score on Courtois in this group besides Mohamed Salah. And we know he's had trouble with that before. I didn't see you score in the Champions League, buddy.
Exactly.
So
Marmoush too.
So I do think it'll be Belgium, Egypt again, for someone like Mohamed Salah, who knows this World Cup is probably his last, or at the very least he's closer to the end of his career than the beginning. He's going to want to go out there, put a good face. If you're an Egypt fan, something that should give you maybe some hope, he's pretty well rested. Arne Slot did not use him a lot. He's pretty well rested. He got a lot of rest during the season. Ultimately, I think this might be a group that only sends 2 teams, depending on how the Iran New Zealand game goes, because it could really just be Egypt and Belgium both on 6 points, and Iran and New Zealand go out in a draw. But it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, I could see one of Egypt, New Zealand, or Iran being one of the third place teams that makes it out, because there's a lot of third place teams that make it out, and this could be
only
a chance
4 are getting eliminated, which is something to remember.
Exactly. Yeah. One thing I will say, obviously, when you mentioned about demonstrations, that I'll end off on this note. There's a lot of stupid shit that FIFA does. We're not new to this, but really it's the fact that they banned the pre-Islamic flags from Iranian supporters in the stadiums. Just really, read the room.
It's embarrassing because, again, they want things to be apolitical. Then you hear that you hear that a ref gets banned. from Somalia, who got approved, and then they're saying that he has terrorist links, and they're not going to fight that. And like, if you're going to say that the pre-Islamic Republic flag is political, well, the current is like the current Iranian flag.
The current is very
political as well. So
it's very political.
All of these flags are political. If you ask an Irish person, the fucking the Union Jack is political. All of this stuff is political. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, it's honestly like it's ridiculous. That's all I can say.
We should move on because obviously, there's
we don't have to. There's a couple more groups. We still want to.
This is not CNN. We're not.
It's not. All right, Group H. This one again. I don't think we have to spend much time. Yeah,
it's straightforward.
Cape Verde, thank you for coming. Saudi Arabia, thank you for coming. Spain and Uruguay are in this group. Look, I'm not super high on this Spain like other people are, but it's undeniable they're the best team in this group. If Uruguay had hit some of the highs that people thought under Marcelo Bielsa, maybe there's a conversation. They obviously have talented players like Federico Valverde. Darwin Nunez, your mileage may vary. I mean, he's out in Saudi Arabia now. We'll see what kind of form he brings to this World Cup. Honestly, if there's a player that needs to have a good World Cup, if Darwin Nunez goes out there and starts banging goals in and Uruguay qualify top of their group, someone's going to start calling. Someone's going to call him up. So he needs to be on it. But Marcelo Bielsa's kind of been an interesting appointment with this Uruguay team. He's been very tense with the media. A lot of fans don't seem to like him. He's fallen out with some players. There's been a lot of chaos. Chaos does not always lead to results. Sometimes it can. Sometimes, the madness has a purpose.
Yeah.
This time, I don't know. I do think they'll go in second place in this group just by nature of the fact that I don't think that Saudi Arabia or Cape Verde are going to be much opposition. This is a group that I could easily see only sending two representatives, and in fact, I think they will be one of the groups that only send two representatives. But yeah, Spain, Uruguay. That's what I have to say.
For sure. Without a doubt. I'm not too big on the Spain national team either. I really think they have issues up front as striker and in defense, especially in defense. I am nowhere near as confident in Spain, specifically because of their defense.
You know what's crazy? Just like real quick, I saw a video where PK was doing one of those like, the 2012 or the 2010 Spain team versus this Spain team.
Are you insane?
They were going like, position by position. Yeah. And it came to him, and the guy, like, he obviously was trying to do that, like, humble thing that, like, players do. Like, I'm not going to say anything, like, whatever. The guy beside him picked Pau Kubarsi over him. I'm like, I don't even like PK that much. Yeah. But that's fucking insane.
That's insane. No, I was never a big PK guy, but that's insane.
I actually threw up. I was like, what are we doing here? Like, are we just lying for clout now? Like, is this what we're doing? Whatever.
Yeah, like, it's Eric Garcia or Aymeric Laporte when the other defensive spot, and obviously like Lenormand was not like a world beater defender, but the drop off is still a lot. So regardless, I think Spain actually takes full points from this group. I think Uruguay gets like 6. So yeah, but clearly they're the top two to get out. Thank you for the other two for coming in. Saudi Arabia, unfortunately, they don't have. I just had their coach. What's his name? 1 second.
Yeah, their coach can't even get into the country. I forgot about that. Oh, I fucking hate this.
Yeah, they have Georgios Donis instead of Hervé Renard, who famously had that, insane halftime team talk when they came back against Argentina and won. Unfortunately, I don't see that happening again. So yeah, sorry, Saudi Arabia, and thanks for coming. Group I, this is one that I could see being a group of death aside from France, Senegal, Iraq, and Norway. France clearly tops this group. African champion Senegal, again, depending on who you talk to. France, I think, tops this group. I have Norway second and Senegal third, and Senegal as one of those teams that likely could be the third place team to make it out. But again, pick your poison with Senegal or Norway. Who do you want? They have obviously Norway has Erling Haaland and Martin Odegaard, so I just think those two could be possible match winners. Specifically, Haaland more obviously. We know Sadio Mane is a great player. Still for Senegal, the whole team does band together really well. But yeah, I think it's pretty obvious that France is the best team out of this group.
Yeah, I don't disagree. Obviously, they're one of the most talented squads. I do think people are ignoring some of the weaknesses in this France squad, like they're ignoring weaknesses in other teams just to make like a big favorite. There are weaknesses, and I do think Deschamps has routinely shown that he's underperformed with his team. People keep talking about, well, they have Cherki, they have Mbappe, Dembele, Doué, like the attack's going to be crazy. When have you ever seen a Deschamps team go full out attack? This team is going to be just like every other Deschamps team. They're going to play defensive, they're going to wait, hit you on the counter attack. Then it'll be a track meet for Mbappe and co. It'll probably work. They have a really good defense, but I wouldn't expect to see any free-flowing football out of this team. I agree with the rest. Senegal could maybe throw a spanner in the works for Norway, but again, I think Norway is kind of falling into what I said about Turkey. Even though Norway doesn't have like a performance at a tournament recently, and you could argue that they've underperformed in qualifying for other tournaments with some of the talent they have, this is a real prove-it tournament for their generation, a generation that people will say is a golden generation. That probably is. Like Erling Haaland's probably the best player they have ever produced ever. They have Martin Odegaard, Sorloth. Like they have talent. So it'll be up to the coach to get the most out of the talent. It'll be up to the players. I think Odegaard in particular, he's had a very rough season. There's talks about, Arsenal maybe moving on from him, at least from the fans. They could see a window in which a sale of him opens up more time for Eze and maybe bringing in a different player in that role, like a Morgan, Rogers. Who knows if anything that's going to happen? What will help Odegaard is if he has the kind of performance that we know is he's capable of at this World Cup and really starts pulling the strings for Norway. I do see it though. France, Norway, Senegal, and Iraq. I do think Senegal will probably be one of the 8 teams that make it into the next round.
Yeah. Moving on to Group J, another really Argentina, man. It's like last World Cup. There's a lot of things that went and Argentina's way, and they probably get the easiest group out of all the big teams: Algeria, Austria, and Jordan. Argentina obviously is going to top this group. I have Austria just because I really don't buy into Algeria or Jordan at all. Specifically Jordan. I don't think it's like one of those things for coming. Austria has some decent, European nationals. They have experience in the Euros.
Coached by homeboy who was at United, Ralf Rangnick. Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, really, aside from that, I don't really see Austria doing much outside of the group. We'll see how far Argentina goes. Again, like Spain, I'm not big on this Argentina team like a lot of people are. Expecting them to repeat as well, not at all. But yeah, Argentina and Austria, the 2 A's coming out of this group.
I agree. I think Messi's a good example of a player who he's been playing a lot in MLS, so he'll be used to the pitches, but his work rate is declining, and if this does become a World Cup of set pieces and physicality, that's not anything he's had in spades, and I would argue that his physical side is the thing that's been dropping quicker and quicker. Will he be able to hold up under the sun? Will he be able to hold up when the games get real quick and physical, or even when they're slow and physical? I don't really see it, but they do top this group, and Austria comes in second. This is a group I could see the third place team not making it through.
Yeah.
Group K. Colombia, DR Congo, Portugal, and Uzbekistan. First time for Uzbekistan. Thank you for coming out.
Not Congo, right? Congo's been here.
Congo's been here before, I think. Yeah, I believe so.
Democratic Republic. Not
Democratic
really.
Well, again,
yeah. We'll leave that out. We'll leave that out.
Yeah.
Portugal, Colombia, like obvious.
Those are the 2. Portugal's really weird. I find the opinions of them really split. You find people that really like them and think that they could go all the way, or you find people that think they're gonna get out at the round of 32 or the round of 16. Like I don't see a lot of people picking them to make the quarters even.
I was just pulling up like predictions tabs like right now while we're doing this. This guy has Portugal finishing 4th.
In the group?
Yeah. I'm like, okay.
He thinks the DR Congo and Uzbekistan are kind of okay.
Yeah.
But again, that tells you, and again, I think like different to Shayan, I'm not as big a CR7 guy as he is. So like that's a difference that we have. But I do find it insane that people are acting like this guy cannot play football and that he's just not going to do anything.
Yeah.
It's getting to the point where it's too much on the other side. And Cheyenne knows me, and sometimes this is why I get in trouble and get into all these arguments, because it's like I see people take something that can be true, like X player is good or X player is bad, but we can't just leave it there. We have to take it to like, no, X player is so good, it's actually crazy that no one is putting him in this. Like in this bracket, or no, this player is so bad, it's crazy that people think he should even be on the pitch. It's like the reality somewhere in the middle. Is there a real chance that Cristiano Ronaldo costs Portugal some games by forcing himself to play 90 minutes, by taking too much of a spotlight when he should really let players like Bruno Fernandes, Rafael Leao, whoever you want to say, take a bit more of a front foot? Sure, but I could also argue with you that Rafael Leao has been fucking garbage. There's a reason why AC Milan wants him to leave. Gonzalo Ramos has stunted in his growth. Like, he needs a move more than anybody this year, like I've ever seen. So honestly, tell me who should be out there getting the passes besides Ronaldo. And I'm not saying it's going to work every time, and I'm not even saying that it's going to be like 100% like the best route, but the reality is that's what they have. I do think that people are underestimating just how tough this team will be to break down. Vitinha is one of the best midfielders in the world. Bruno Fernandes is one of the best midfielders in the world, and somehow people can say that at the club level and then think that at the World Cup it's just going to disappear. Meanwhile, I have to listen to people say that Argentina is going to repeat when Messi's been like getting older and doing less as well, and McAllister's been a fucking ghost this year. So what midfield are they bringing? Like, I just don't understand the distance, and that's where I get upset. Where we're just saying shit to be fucking like outlandish, or whatever. You know what I mean? And without like, there's a way to. I feel like I do clickbait in a way that's honest, and I try not to go too overboard, but I still get a hot take off. I love a hot take. For instance, I think if someone wanted to say Colombia might top this group, I could listen to that. I think Colombia.
I don't disagree with that. I think Colombia could beat Portugal and get 9 points, but I also do not believe that Messi is somehow playing so much better football in MLS than Ronaldo is in 100%. Saudi Arabia,
100%,
and that the Argentina national team, just because they're defending champions and because they have some good players, are so much better than the Portuguese. No, if anything, I think on paper the Portuguese have a much better team than Argentinian
100%,
do.
100%.
But like we said, South American teams are going to have an advantage. Colombia are an incredibly feisty team. They should never be counted out.
Players like Luis Diaz, John Duran.
Yeah, exactly. But really, with Uzbekistan and Congo in this, like this guy was saying Portugal's going to finish fourth. Like,
that's insane.
Upsets are upsets, and they can happen, but that's got to be a very clickbaity, insane take.
I do think it's going to be Portugal, Colombia, DR Congo, Uzbekistan. Unfortunately for the Democratic Republic of Congo and for that guy that stands in the crowd like a statue of Patrice Lumumba, which like just the best aura farm, I don't think you're going to get to the next round. I wish I could see you aura farm through to the knockouts. Maybe you'll prove me wrong, but that's how I see the group going.
Fucking knockout game of... Wait, hold on. I got to pull up the thing. Fucking DR Congo versus Curacao. Round of 16.
That would be a knockout game for the ages.
Yeah.
That's one of those.
Tickets.
I'll
see you there.
I'll see you there.
Anyway, Group L, last group: England, Croatia,
I'm guessing.
Ghana,
Sorry,
Panama.
I'm guessing you agree with the ranking: Portugal, Colombia.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Like I say, I wouldn't be surprised.
For sure, I think it'll be close, and I think Colombia has a good team.
Yeah, I would say like 7-6, whatever the last two order would be based off of math.
James Rodriguez.
Yeah, exactly.
Back at World Cup, good stuff.
Yeah, World
Maybe
Cup
he'll score another goal. Yeah.
Group L: England, Croatia, Ghana, Panama. To me, this is, I don't know, maybe I'm counting out Ghana and Panama a lot, but I really don't see how England, Croatia mess this up and don't get out of the group. England is one of my favorites, actually, aside from another team who I won't spoil. I'm really high on the England squad, despite of the omissions from Thomas Tuchel. Again, Panama is another feisty South American team. Ghana has done well in previous World Cups, so that was a long time ago. But Croatia has pedigree. Luka Modric had a great season at AC Milan. Mateo Kovacic, other players are there as well. I think it's England and Croatia. I think they both could finish with like 7 points tied. And it's just goal difference.
I agree. I actually think Ghana might be a bit feisty, and I do think they'll be one of the third place teams that make it. Panama, unfortunately, I just think they're there to make up the numbers. I don't really see them really doing much in this group. They kind of got a group where there really is no obvious game for them to target, because I would argue that even Ghana has more talent on the pitch than them and would be expected to kind of take it to them. If they were in a group kind of like Jordan or with a Jordan or an Iraq or something, a team that's more at their level, maybe they could have gotten into the next round. I think this one will be tough. I agree with you about England. I think I'm higher on them than most people are somehow, because we've gotten so close to the World Cup that people are down on them again. I know that the results in qualifying, while they have been good and not conceded, people haven't seen the level of football that they expect. Ultimately, you hire Tuchel to win. He's a pragmatic manager. I think people are always going to be there saying, well, why didn't he bring this player? Why didn't he bring this player? He was very honest throughout the whole process. I'm not bringing the best 26 players. I'm bringing the best 26 to make a team. And whether you agree with that or not, like, look, I'm sitting here as someone who believes that he could have taken Trent, because the profile that he gives and the way to unlock a defense, the passes, all that stuff is important. But if he feels that Trent is not going to handle being a backup well, and honestly, if Reece James stays healthy, Trent doesn't see the pitch. Like,
no, Reece James is the better starter.
That's just the reality.
Yeah, sure.
I feel the same for, like, that's why he left Foden. That's why he left
Cole Palmer.
They had horrible seasons, and you can't honestly expect him to play any of those players over a Jude, over an Eze. You just can't. Like, you just can't. So I think he made the picks that he had to make. Harry Maguire was a tough omission. I know people really feel bad for him. Again, maybe he just felt, and you know, not to defend Tuchel too much, because I don't really have a dog in this race. But the fact that Harry Maguire released a press statement before the official team was even posted about feeling let down that he wasn't on the team or whatever shows that that's kind of not the guy that you want around. Like, that's not the behavior. Like, I get that he was disappointed, and ultimately it doesn't fucking matter. But, like, he should have waited for the announcement to be made.
Yeah. Like, yeah, absolutely.
He cared more about his own feelings than the team. And isn't that kind of the opposite of what you want? Again, I think you can make an argument that he should be there. I know he offers something. Tuchel didn't agree.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead.
The only ones that I think I didn't agree with, and I really think should have been in this squad, was one, Lewis Hall. I think he should have made it over O'Reilly. And Adam Wharton. I really don't understand the Jordan Henderson thing, aside from, Wharton is the one that, like, again, he's bringing Henderson for leadership and experience and a vocal leader in the locker room and off the bench. I get that, but come on.
But that's the worst pick of the bunch. I agree with you completely.
You could also, I would definitely prefer to have Jared Bowen over Madueke. Madueke's been pretty mid to not great, but I guess Madueke's pace could offer you something, in the World Cup that Bowen's doesn't.
Yeah. And I think
go ahead.
But I think Bowen had a bad second half of the he's part of the he kind of fell off, and then West Ham get relegated, whatever. But I agree with you. England, Croatia, Ghana, Panama. I will say I'm worried about Croatia under the sun. Those are some old boys out there. They're gonna cook. So some old, very white boys out there.
Exactly.
Cook. All right.
Oh yeah.
We can move on.
I guess we could do what I was thinking is that we do like surprise team and then disappointing team, and then we go with like our winner. I think really that's basically, unless there's something else you want to, like, winner and player of the tournaments, golden boot, whatever. Yeah. Something like that. My surprise team, I don't know how much of a surprise they actually are, because I'm seeing people tout them more. I really like Ecuador. Yeah. I think they're going to do a lot. I really like their defense with Hincapié and Pacho. They obviously have Moises Caicedo, who I think has really come into his own as one of the better number 6s in the world, if not like one of the best. They have an experienced striker in Enter Valencia. Again, feisty South American team that is tough to play against. They're good on the counterattack. They're not really easy to break down. And again, the heat and the quality of pitches, they are used to that. And that's going to be really, really big. So I think Ecuador could be a team that, even makes it to a quarterfinal. And surprises a lot. So that's my dark horse pick. I don't know how much of a dark horse it is. Given I'm hearing more and more people talk. Yeah, that's what I'm reading.
I still think it's a dark horse pick, and again, I think it's. I'm going to give you credit. I think it's more of a dark horse pick than mine, but I don't want to say the same one. Ecuador is definitely one I considered. Again, there's a reason why I'm not going to pick like a Turkey or a Norway. I think these European dark horse teams that people have been saying are dark horses for a while are kind of blurring the line where it's like, are they really a dark horse? Even someone like Morocco. Like if Morocco gets to the semis again, or they do worse than they did in the last World Cup and they go to the quarters, the round of 16, is that a dark horse team when they underperform what they were? I find it very tricky. Someone like Japan, though, that the results have been trending. They're on a run where they've beaten Brazil in a friendly 3-2, Ghana in a friendly 2-0, Bolivia 2-0. They beat Scotland 1-0, England 1-0, and Iceland 1-0. Now, not all those teams are going to be here at the World Cup, but some of them are. Friendlies, it's hard to really get a gauge for how serious a team is taking it. But what we do know about Japan, they're going to be well drilled. There's some talent in this squad. And I do think that ever since they've hosted the World Cup, they've steadily been building and progressing, trying to make their league more competitive, developing more players. We are seeing more Japanese players just across some of the leagues in Europe. So I think there's a real concerted effort. They have the Blue Lock anime. All of these things are contributing to a stronger national team. Yeah, you should watch it. It's very good. So I'm picking Japan. I could easily see them getting to the quarters and really making some noise and making things difficult for some of these established teams. They play discipline. They're a team that sacrifices for one another. And again, we're inevitably going to get the post from Bleacher Report of their fans staying after the game to clean up the stadium.
Clean up.
We'll all think it's heartwarming once again.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Shout out to the Blues. Shout out to the Japanese. Shout out to anime. Shout out to the Blue Samurai.
If there's a kit that you should get, just as a kit, it's the Japanese national team football kit. It's usually fucking sick, and it's like it's cool. And this year's is no different. That blue always looks really nice.
Yeah, I like it. I like the blue one. Yeah, it's good. I like those picks. Disappointing team. There's a lot of teams I think you can actually pick with this one that I think could slip. Believe it or not, Brazil I think could be one that slips. I don't see it happening. I think Brazil does pretty well. I don't have them as a winner, but I think they could make it far. England is obviously a go-to one. You mentioned Germany, but I'm going to go with Spain. I do not see the replication of the Euro. Again, I really have doubts about this defense. Luis de la Fuente doesn't really change his starters and his system really much. And just like I mentioned for Hansi Flick, this guy is going to play Lamine Yamal into the ground. Can we please, for the love of a kid who is 18 years old and could be one of the future stars, I don't even care that he plays for Barcelona, can we please manage his minutes? Like, he is not the next coming of Jesus Christ. Like, there are players who can play on that right side. I don't like Eric Garcia at all. And if you think he's a good player, I do not want to hear your opinion. You should be banned from watching and speaking about football ever. Aymeric Laporte, same thing. Their wingbacks are good. Neither one of us is big on Pedri. I don't think he's that great either. Dani Olmo is fine. In my opinion, he gets things done. Nico Williams has had a much worse season than last year. But up top, I'll let you go after that point. Up top, Morata, a player who we know is very, very streaky and fucking terrible, for lack of a better word, was crucial for them. Ferran Torres is not a good player, and I don't like him. He's at best a sub who can make some noise, but very rarely. I'm not big on Oyarzabal. Like, he can come in and play some good passes and offer some link-up play. I really think they lack a lot in that striker position. And I don't see the same replication from the Euros. So, yeah, I'm picking Spain as the team that disappoints.
I was between three teams. I think Argentina, people are picking them to repeat and stuff. But I do think that some people are acknowledging that this team might not be as good as they were in 2022. Mm-hmm. So it felt kind of like whatever. France is definitely one that I considered as well, because I do think there's some weaknesses in there, and I don't believe in Deschamps. But ultimately, this is going to be boring, but I went with Spain as well. For a lot of what you said. And it frustrates me too, because I listened to a podcast with a Spanish journalist, and they were saying how in the attack, you have these like really awesome attackers, including Nico Williams. I'm like, what did Nico Williams do this year for us to give him that credit?
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy. Yeah. Again, this is the thing where I'm like, for some teams, the club form is dictating how we talk about these players 100%. And for other teams, we're just going to ignore that Nico Williams has had a bad year for a club that isn't even like one of the top clubs. So like, what form are you seeing out of Nico Williams? Like, he's had a Rafael Leao year. He's been injured a lot. He's underperformed. No one's talking about Rafael Leao like he's going to be the reason that Portugal win a game. So ultimately, I'm with you. Spanish national team. I think they're going to underperform. I think when I did the bracket, if them and France end up in first place and win their knockout games, they meet in the quarters. And I think France go on and Spain's road ends in the quarters. But I could easily see it ending before then. I remember doing it, and I was even like, I think their round of 16 games can be tough, and I don't think it's a given that they get through that.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I guess we'll do winner's pick now. It's tough. Like, my heart tells me one thing, my head tells me another.
Oh, no.
But you know what? My head tells me England. I'm really big on England. I really like Jude Bellingham. I really like Elliot Anderson, Morgan Rogers. Harry Kane Ballon d'Or. Harry Kane, I think, is in really good form. Rashford is even in good form. They have Gordon out there on the left wing. I like the squad. My head tells me England, but I'm gonna just go with my heart and the vibes and the passion. I'm picking Portugal. Wow. Yes, Ronaldo is on. This is his last World Cup, and I'm gonna cry in whatever his last match is. But aside from that, they have one of the best teams. You can't deny it. Their goalkeeping situation is really good. I just forgot the starter's name. I'm blanking. Diogo Costa, I think, is a great goalkeeper. Their back line is filled with solid players. Right back is the only position that I think is a little like iffy, but you could have Matheus Nunes on there, who did a good job for Manchester City in the times that he played there. They have the best midfield, without a doubt. England is the only one that I think comes close. The front line does leave stuff to be wanted for. Leao's form is not the greatest for Portugal, and like this season, he hasn't been great for AC Milan. But I feel similar vibes to Argentina. What they did for Messi in the last World Cup, they know it's likely his swan. This is the swan song. This is the last one. I think really they're going to galvanize around each other, play for Ronaldo, and I can see it coming home for him. And he finishes with the World Cup and walks off into the sunset. Yeah, it's really cliche, and it's a little soap opera-y, whatever you want to call it, fairy tale like, but I'm going with my heart on this one. I'm going with Ronaldo winning and Portugal winning it. And I could really see Portugal winning a lot of those games with Ronaldo not starting them and coming off of the bench. That's my pick.
Wow. Yeah, it's not that I'm surprised. It's just that I went through a roller coaster of emotions through all that.
Yeah.
I don't think it's crazy to pick Portugal as a winner. I think people are overlooking them because of the Cristiano Ronaldo factor and how divisive he is. It will be tough for them, for sure. I think there are teams that are really good in this tournament, and obviously no team is perfect. So, again, I did a bracket last night very quick, just whatever.
I got to do one of those, yeah.
Place some bets here and there.
Yeah.
And I ended up with two teams in the finals, and I do think these are the two teams that very similar to you. I have a head and I have a heart, and this is why we do this podcast, why we're good friends. My head was telling me England. I really like that team, and I think that Tuchel's a really good coach. Yep. And honestly, like, when I see a player like Jude, who's had the year that he's had, and I see players like Kane, who's had the year that he's had, et cetera, Saka, Declan Rice, like, some of these guys have been part of winning teams. Some of these guys have already, like, Jude has already shown he can perform in the biggest moments. Like, he was a big reason why England got to the finals at the Euro. I know it's a different manager now. I know it's not Gareth, but the story basically since after 2014 is that England has improved a little bit every tournament that they've gone. They've made it a step ahead, or they've looked a little bit better. You know, they've made it to two finals now and lost both in the Euros, which is obviously heartbreaking. The law of averages says eventually they're going to win with the amount of talent that they have. There are obviously holes. I think that Jordan Pickford as a keeper will always be a bit boom or bust. He has I'm mistaken him, but they were one of the teams that in my bracket I had going to a final, and I could easily see Jude Bellingham putting on a performance, getting him the World Cup, and then I'm going to laugh at anybody who thinks that Pedri's good ever again, and I'll be very thrilled about that.
Let's go.
Because I'm nothing if not always thinking of the narrative. But I have to go with my heart as well. I'm picking Brazil. That's my team. It's been my team since I was a kid. All my favorite players have been Brazilian. This is not a vintage Brazil side. I could say similar things about Brazil that Shayan said about Portugal. There are questions in some of the positions, especially the wingbacks. Even the goalkeepers. Alisson and Ederson are not coming in with the best form. They've had up and down years. I mean, Ederson's out in fucking Galatasaray or Fenerbahce, actually. But the attacking squad, everything. And again, Neymar for me was a player that I really loved when he broke onto the scene. And I really do believe that people sometimes don't give him the credit that he deserves because he played with Messi. Similar to how I think that Benzema got overlooked and Bale got overlooked at times for how good Cristiano was, and their support of him and the performances they put in. Some of them in the biggest stages when Ronaldo was finding it a bit hard because of how he was being marked. You know, Bale does like an overhead kick or this or that. The last Champions League that Barcelona won, Neymar was the best player on that team. He's the reason that they make it through. If you watch back the remontada against PSG or Roma, he's the one making it all happen. He was a phenomenal player when he had the world on his feet. I don't think he's going to be a large presence at this World Cup. I think he'll be a wild card. I think he'll come in, sporadically. His fitness is hit or miss, but wouldn't I love Brazil in the finals, 70th minute sub. It's still 0-0. And he makes something happen. He scores his goal. He gets
on Argentina. Big fuck you to Messi and all the Argentinians. Honestly,
I would love it. So I'm picking Brazil. There are other teams. I genuinely do think this World Cup is pretty open because I could be talked into a lot of these teams, even teams that I do think Spain is going to disappoint. But I do think that if the bracket breaks out in a way, and if they can hit their form together as a unit, they could even win. There's a lot of good teams in this World Cup. I'm going with Brazil. I want to have like my heart in it and cheer for it, but it's just so funny that we both had England. Yeah. It's like we really think they could do it.
Yeah,
we really think they could do it.
Yeah, I had a feeling. We gotta just for time's sake, I guess we'll do quick picks for the next two. Golden Ball and Golden Boot. We could put it together. Golden Boot might not be a very controversial or spicy pick. I think Harry Kane wins this one again. I'm pretty sure he's won one, right? Yeah,
he has. I think he won in 2018 because he had a game. I think it was against Panama. He scored a hat trick against Panama in the group stage. Basically, just ran away with it.
Exactly, and that's honestly why I think he could fucking stat pad like crazy just in the group against any of those teams, even Croatia. I think he scores a lot. Obviously, there's more games now because there's a round of 32.
And he's going to take every penalty kick.
Every single penalty.
If there's a pen, he's going to take it. So that helps.
But regardless, I think it's the best team that he's played around with Bellingham and Rice and Elliot Anderson behind him and Saka. There's so much opportunity to feed him. So Kane is my Golden Boot winner. My Golden Ball, even though I don't think France is going to do as well as they hope or people hope, I think Mbappe is going to actually be a problem again for France, like he's been for Real Madrid. Olise is my pick for Golden Ball. I think his form going into the World Cup is great. And I think, he could do well, really well for the France national team. I don't think he can do enough to win it, and I don't think he's going to do enough to be able to silence Mbappe's issues with wanting to play down the middle and the left. And I think the Dembele-Mbappe dynamic is going to be a problem.
Well, you already saw Dembele was calling him out for his defensive work rate.
Yeah, exactly. But
I was on FaceTime, like, tell that motherfucker to press.
I like Olise. One that could be, just random player pick if you want. Kenan Yildiz on Turkey. Could be a good player to watch. Yeah. Might do a lot.
I disagree.
Yeah.
Golden Boot, I think you have to pick someone that you think is going to go far. It's going to take the majority of the goals. I kind of agree with you. I landed on Harry Kane because I do think England will go far. I think he'll be at the center of a lot of things. I put, a rogue bet. I put a rogue bet on Endrick to win the Golden Boot because he was like plus 800 or something crazy. And I just put like $1 on it, wins $80 because I'm like, if Brazil are scoring and free flowing, he might find himself at the end of a lot of those goals. So yeah, that's just a little rogue shout. For the Golden Ball, best player of the tournament, I picked him to go all the way. Part of the reason is I think this is a big summer for Vinicius Jr. I lied. This is a Real Madrid podcast. There's a lot of questions about his future, where he's going to go. I think ultimately, whether he wants to stay, leave, whatever, a lot of that will be predicated by how he plays in this tournament. We've talked about how Neymar has sometimes underperformed in the Brazil shirt. I think this new generation of Brazil players, none of them have had quite the chance or the opportunity, or they haven't taken it to have a signature performance in this shirt. Who is the next Ronaldinho? Who's the next Rivaldo, Bebeto, Romario, R9, whoever, Kaká? I think you could easily see Cunha having a great tournament, Rafinha, any of these players. I'm picking Vinicius. I think he will be motivated. Carlo Ancelotti knows how to get the best out of this guy. If there's ever a tournament where Vinicius can again say, I'm the best player in the world, and hey, you know what? Ballon d'Or might be out of reach for him, but if he's a big part of Brazil winning a World Cup, ends with the Golden Ball, he might be in with a shout for the Ballon d'Or. He breaks a streak of 24 years. He's the one that does it.
Yeah.
I think all of that will be very motivating to him. He's a player that's near and dear to my heart. So again, a bit of a heart pick. I think that your shout of Elise is really good. If I'm giving a player that you should keep an eye out depending on how their team does, I think Yildiz is a great pick. Honestly, I think it's a great pick. And I would say that's a great shout, because if Turkey goes far enough and he's involved enough, he might go down as the best player in the tournament.
Yeah. But yeah, that's it for us. This was our World Cup preview. It was a long one. It was a really fun one.
4 hours.
We are so excited. So excited. We hope you are as well. Let us know your thoughts. As always, thanks for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. We appreciate all your support on the Touchline Banter podcast. Let us know what you think. Are we completely full of it with certain teams? Curacao fans are going to be in the comments. Y'all are
the
crazy.
Curacao fans are mad as fuck now.
Are we completely discounting the DR Congo and topping the group? But yeah, let us know what you think. Who's your winner? Who's your golden ball winner? Who's your golden boot winner? Let us know everything you think about the World Cup. What games are you going to? What games are you excited to watch? What games will you not watch at all? There's always those that you just have in the background and you're like, oh shit, someone scored. But yeah, that's all for us. Ruben, anything else you want to add?
No, man, I'm excited. It'll be great. We can't wait to get this out for you. And again, the next episode we're going to do will be after all the match day 1 games. We're going to see, hey, by then, DR Congo may have already won a game. And we're going to look really stupid when they're on top of the group because of goal difference.
We're going to fucking stupid. But yeah, thanks for watching. Enjoy the World Cup. Enjoy all the action. We'll see you again soon on Touchline Banter.
Peace.